Hello folks, hope you're all doing well. It is that time again when I thought we'd have a bit of a sort of much about the plot. We'll have a look around, and sorry if I'm squinting there because we've got the sun up there. It's a beautiful day up here today. It's probably going to be a good sort of 17, 18 degrees, which is just about right. But we do one of these tours around about every 2 months. I think if I do them more often than that, you don't get to see any of the sort of changes that's been happening. I think since the last one that I did, that was around about mid-May sort of time, I think, there's been quite a lot of changes in terms of how things are growing, because the weather's been a bit crazy around here. It has been raining, it has been sunny, it has been dry, it has been windy, it's been everything you could imagine. But things have really taken off, including the weeds, which is always a bit of a downside. So you'll see that I'm not exactly on top of the weeding. I try my best, but it's not great at the moment. I need to probably spend a good sort of half a day just getting on top of it to get things sorted. But we'll worry about that later. But anyway, let me spin you around here. So this is the top sort of right-hand side of the plot, just as we come through the gate here. And this is the bit I always like to start off with. And you can see these sort of 3 buckets here. These are first earlies, and they're a variety called Swift. And the tops here are just starting to die off, so I thought they'd be ready for picking around about mid to the end of June. So it's just about the right time. I reckon I'm probably going to give them another 10 days to 2 weeks, and then we'll be getting those buckets tipped out. So watch out for the potato reveal coming to see how these potatoes have grown. And moving on, we've got one of our apple trees there. It's looking rather good. It's only the first year it's been in, so there'll be nothing special coming from that anytime soon. And we've got another 3 buckets of first earlies here. These were put in a good week after the other ones, and it's a different variety, still growing great. But again, these look like they've got a good few weeks left on them before we get anywhere near ready. So I reckon we'll be well into July before these are ready. And that's not the worst thing if they're coming ready at different times of the year. So we've got that sort of constant stream of crops coming along. Over there we've got another apple tree that you can't really see very well because we've got a jungle of raspberries growing in behind it there that are just starting to show some little signs of fruit on them here and there. Still a little bit early for those ones yet, and you can see the big strands of grass and things. I need to get in there and get those out. Over here, these are the Zabroon, the banana shallots. They're growing away quite happily here. They look not too bad. Again, it's going to be a little while before they're fully ready, but it's good to see them. They're starting to fill out, they're starting to get a little bit fatter, which is just what I am after. And moving on over here, we've got some of the Kelsey giant onions. So we've only got like half a dozen of them in this bed this year because they were far too big and there was far too many of them last year. So we've got about half a dozen of them. They are great to grow because they go absolutely massive when they're eventually done. But yeah, way too many of them last year. And we've got a few things of fennel there that's grown pretty well, actually. It's looking pretty decent so far. And moving on over here, we have some onions, and I think these ones are grown from set, if I remember rightly again. Some of them are starting to bulk up a little bit. Some of them are bolted. I've mentioned we've got this weather where it's really hot and really wet and whatever, and it's causing it to bolt a little bit. And I can see again there's a couple there that I'm gonna have to sort of take the scapes off and probably pick the onions. We'll use them small. They'll still get used, but it's not great because they're not quite as big as I'd wanted them to be. Moving on along here, we've got the giant rhubarb bed. I reckon I'll maybe get one more picking off it. I mean, there's plenty there to pick, but it's getting towards that time of the year where you just sort of leave the rhubarb to put the energy back into the crowns so they keep going over the winter. So maybe it's 2 more pickings off that before it's done. And coming along here, we've got the potato beds, and they are absolutely flying at the moment. They're going great guns. So you can sort of see we've got 3 rows of potatoes here, all main crop varieties. And over on this bed here, we've got another row of main crops running up here, followed by some onions, and these ones are Bedfordshire Champion. And the difference of these ones is I've grown these ones from seed, so it'll be really interesting to see if any of these bolt, because a lot of people say if you grow them from seed, there's much less chances of them bolting. So we'll compare these ones to the ones over there that have started to bolt to see if there's much difference at all or not. And we'll have a quick scoot down the path to where the rest of the onions are. again, these ones were really late in sort of establishing themselves and getting bulked up a little bit, but they're starting to get there now. There's only one in here that I can see that's bolted, so that'll need to come out. I think it's just the one, yeah. And we've got some tiny little garlics. These are just some leftover garlics from whatever it was, and they were way too late, and I'll probably just get like one clove off each of them. But you know what, if I'm having a little bit of space at the end of the bed here, I might as well use the space up, have something in there, even if it's just one clove or whatever, one big clove per bit of garlic, then it's absolutely fine, and it is better than nothing in that space. Now along here, these are the purple top turnips, and they are looking pretty good. The only problem is the weeds are getting a little bit beyond a joke, so I need to get in there with a hoe, but I don't know if you can kind of see through the net there at the back. The turnips are actually looking great. I might pick a couple of those today, because I've mentioned on previous videos that I don't want things getting too big this year, because I think I let things get a little bit too big last year and it caused them to go a bit chewy, a bit woody sort of thing. So picking things young this year to see if it makes a difference. A random bucket of Charlotte potatoes here, so second early, still got lots of growing left to do. And moving along here, we've got the bed of cauliflowers. One side's your sort of normal white cauliflower, and the other side are the Romanesco ones. Again, I need to get in there to sort the weeding out, because it's getting a little bit beyond a joke. These are the seed potatoes for the seed potato challenge. Little bit of an issue with them, they got a bit dry at one point, and there's, you know, I don't know what it's done, there's a little bit of damage to some of the leaves and whatnot on a few of the plants. They're looking good now. Back on top of them, there was a few flowers starting to appear somewhere over the far side on them there, but we've got the 5 buckets there to see how they turn out later in the year for that challenge. And that's from Steve at the Digwell Greenfingers channel. These are our outdoor tomatoes. They're looking all right. They're going great guns. They're growing pretty well, and I can see some flowers just starting to appear here, which is great. So hopefully the bees will come along, get those pollinated, and we'll see some outdoor tomatoes soon. This bit here, this is I mentioned this in an older video about this bed here, and these were all dwarf French beans that I put out, and they were beautiful little plants that had grown from seed. I put them all out, and within a few days they'd all died. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. There's nothing wrong with the compost in the bed, because it's compost that's been used in the tomato bed and inside the polytunnel. It all came out of the same bulk bag. You can see the marigolds are growing quite happily in here, and there's another bit of fennel there growing perfectly well. So I've no idea what happened to them, because I say they were beautiful little established plants, and then this has happened. But I do have some beetroot that's going to go out in this bed today, so some succession planting for something that I'll come to in a moment. We'll scoot along here. There's the pond. One of these days it'll go in. So moving up here swiftly, this is where we've got the sweet corn out. Obviously it's planted in that sort of grid system because it's wind pollinated. That's easy enough for you to say. It's still young, it's still small. Give it a couple of weeks and that'll be absolutely flourishing. And some little flowers there. There you go, the little flower baskets that we've put out. And there's one on that side as well. But let's head inside the polytunnel and have a quick look about how things are looking in here. King of the North sweet peppers, we are starting to get flowers on them. Let's show you that one at the back there. That's probably the best one, which is great. Hopefully they'll get pollinated relatively soon. The large barred boar tomatoes at the front here. You can see we've got lots of little tomatoes starting to appear. And if we delve in here, we've got lots of big, massive tomatoes, which is good. Hopefully they'll start ripening soon. So they're large barred boar. Again, easy enough for you to say, all the way along the front here. And at the back here, these are the sun gold ones, which again are going pretty good. I mean, you can see the sort of trusses coming off there with the lovely tomatoes on it. They need a little bit of growing yet and some ripening up, and they'll look grand as well. And back here, we've got the 2 aubergine plants, and rather excitingly, let's have a look down here. Look, we've got our first ever aubergine there. So it's growing there. So hopefully that's going to be looking good. I've no idea how long it'll take for it to get any bigger, but we'll keep watering, we'll keep feeding, and we'll see how it goes. I can't see too much on the aubergine plant at the back there. There's plenty of flowers on it and things like that, so there might be an aubergine hiding around the back, or maybe it's not. We'll see. This This is the melon that I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing with. I've put it in a pot, I'm feeding it, I'm watering it. It appears to be growing arms and legs absolutely everywhere. It's spreading itself out quite nicely. I'll have to watch out for this bit over here coming towards the aubergines, and again this here. So if anybody has any sort of melon tips, please let me know, because I've no idea whatsoever what I'm doing with it. Over here we're into the sort of the chilies at the end here, and we've got the basket of fire. Again, these are starting to ripen up and looking good. Loads and loads and loads of tiny little chilies on that. At the back there, the two are chocolate doula, again just starting to flower, similar to the sweet peppers. And the orange habaneros at the front here. And again there you can see the flowers just starting to come on, going great guns. More tomatoes over here. I'm trying to remember what varieties these ones are. Let me just have a look at the labels. These ones are Crimson Crush, and it's great to see the tomatoes starting to appear on there. And as you can see, it needs a little bit of TLC because we've got a couple of suckers sort of hiding about in here. So we'll give them a bit of TLC after this video and tidy them up a little bit. These ones at the front here, again, sun gold, similar to the ones over the other side. Maybe it's a couple of weeks behind, but you know, nice trusses and little tomatoes just starting to appear. And hopefully you didn't see that one just fall off there when I jabbed it with my finger. Lesson learned. Now moving on over here, we've got the cucumbers. Now these ones here, the crimson ones, Carmen they're called. These are grown absolutely brilliantly. I was up here yesterday and I picked another one off this, and I had one earlier on in the week. They're absolutely flying, as are the mini munch. You can see there's another one ready to pick on the mini munch, and there's another two down here that I reckon in a few days they'll be ready to go, and there's another one right at the bottom there, almost ready to go. So inundated with cucumbers. And speaking of cucumbers, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when I did a sort of look around the Polytunnel sort of video that these Armenian yard-long cucumbers weren't looking too good, but you can see there we've got our first little cucumbers starting to grow there, and we've got another one here. So hopefully in the next few weeks they'll start coming on leaps and bounds, and I'll tie that up to the top there. And I think it's almost time to nip that out, because that's almost 6 foot tall, so we'll be getting that sorted pretty soon. Right, moving on swiftly. Let's have a look around here. So we've got the garlic here, and as you can see, it is pretty much ready to go. I reckon in another week or two again, all the garlic will be coming out, so watch out for that happening. Nothing in this bed here. This is going to be, I've got some kohlrabi to go in, so I think I'll be putting that in there today. So that'll be a bed of kohlrabi, and I'll have to get that netted up. And over here at the back, we've got the Brussels sprouts again. They've only been in for a couple of weeks, so not much happening with them. Hopefully ready in time for Christmas. We've got the carrots over here. The carrots have come on. They're absolutely flying at the moment. You can see it's a bit of a carrot jungle in there, so they are looking great. Leeks, all the leeks need to come out there ready to go, and I've got some new ones ready to go in there and replace them. This bed here, beetroot, the beetroot is looking absolutely lovely. I was sort of digging in about it the other day. Let me just see if I can see some. It's just starting to bulk up there again. I reckon another couple of weeks, maybe another 2 weeks again, this is all going to get picked, because it's not going to get big and woody this year. I promise you, honestly, I promise you. At the front here, the beetroot's filling in some space. We've got some spring onions. I've just started picking these, so I've had a couple of bunches of these, and you can see they're just starting to just put a little bit of weight on nicely there, so they're looking pretty decent as well. And again, some lovely little flowers at the front of this bed. Moving on over here, we've got the shallots, and they're looking great. I've noticed one of them just here. You can see it's just started to bolt there, so the shallots are pretty much close to being ready to pick as well. Just starting to sort of yellow on the tips there, and again I reckon another few weeks and they'll all be ready to come out. And look at this guy here, look at the cheek of it. This is why we use netting, because snails like this are trying to get into everything around here. Moving on up here, we've got the courgettes. They've only been out a couple of weeks, and again the size, the change in size in a couple of weeks has been absolutely phenomenal. They are flying now. And if we look down here, you can see a couple of little green courgettes just starting to appear there. And this one here, the gold one, you can see the gold ones there. And I can see that a slug or a snail's been having a munch on that, so we'll have to get something down to try and help against that. Maybe let's get some more nematodes. So about time to put another round on, and hopefully you can see here. Let me just unclip this net, which is easier said than done, and we'll pull it back. And the lettuce in here is looking absolutely fab. These ones here, I'll pick these as a whole, so they're actually ready to be picked. And all the other ones are sort of red ones, and some of the other sort of greeny, reddy mixed ones in there, they're all sort of pick and come again, but they're absolutely flying. And again, look at this little guy. Look, there's a little slug on there. Honestly, the absolute chick of it is. But moving swiftly on around here, we've got some climbing French beans. Again, these are going much better actually than the dwarf ones, obviously, that completely died. Little bit of damage on some of the lower leaves there, sort of gone sort of browny, and that's what happened to the ones over there. But these seem to be going absolutely great guns. They're flourishing. They need tied in a little bit better into the sort of climbing frame here, but we'll do that in the next week or two. And have a look down here. The little marigolds that are there to deter any aphids from this area are looking good. And a miracle has happened here. I am growing peas, and growing peas relatively successfully. So they're absolutely flying. So you can see we've got loads and loads and loads of peas. That one looks like it's ready to be picked almost. Some of them need to put a bit of weight on yet. They're still a bit thin, but again, in the next couple of weeks, hopefully they'll be absolutely brilliant. So I'm over the moon to have successfully grown peas, because they're a bit of like my nemesis around here. And opposite them, we've got the broad beans, and they're doing all right. Actually, I was later this year putting them out. Again, they're just starting to fatten up now a little bit, and the ones around this side are actually looking a lot better. Move this out of the way. There you go. You can sort of see them there again, just starting to fatten up. So a good few weeks yet still, I think, on the broad beans before they're ready to be picked. Here's our sweet peas that are supposed to be growing up that arch, but they appear to be growing pretty much wherever they want. But I must admit that the colour of them, they look absolutely amazing. They look brilliant, and there's been loads and loads and loads of bees buzzing about them. And again over here, the other side, loads and loads and loads of flowers and bees and things like that. Not many bees around at the moment because it's still early in the morning, but I wish you could smell the scent that were coming off them at the moment, because it's absolutely brilliant. Now over here we've got the squashes. What were they again? This one is a honey nut squash at this end. In the middle, this one that's trying to grow off at an angle is a Boston marrow, and another honey nut squash. They've been a little bit neglected, to be honest. They're maybe not growing as much as I would like them to at this year. So today I'm going to give them a good liquid feed. They're going to get loads of feed. I'll probably put some more bloodfish and bone down there as well, just so that sort of seeps in slowly into the soil. Hopefully they'll pick up and sort of start to grow a little bit faster with a bit of luck. Strawberries. Now, if you remember way at the start of this year, I sort of revamped the strawberry bed because the strawberries had all been looking a little bit sad, and I'm really pleased I did, because so far for the last sort of 3 weeks have been absolutely inundated with strawberries. There's absolutely tons of them growing all over the place. I mean, look at all of them under there. There's loads of them. So that's going to be another box full pick today, and they're absolutely flying. These ones with the pink flowers, whose variety I don't know, unfortunately, are absolutely flying. There's loads of them. These ones here, where I don't know, you can't quite see the flowers on them, but the strawberries are great. These are white flowers, and they are Cambridge variety. But anyway, that's it. So that's how we look. That's how everything's growing at the moment. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, and you want to keep up to date with what's going on, please consider subscribing. It's absolutely free. Just click the button below, and that's it done. Anyway, that's me off for today, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now, folks.